are a French electronic music duo who've been in existence since 1995 and are still going. Their sound is not a dancey kind of sound, it's more of a chill-out electronic sound, and they're particularly known for using quite lush keyboard sounds like Mellotron-type sounds. They have created 6 straightforward studio albums and 2 soundtrack albums, and they're best known for their hit single, Sexy Boy. Hi, my name's Dan. So this album is a soundtrack album from the film of the same name, The Virgin Suicides. And I don't know if it's an advantage or a disadvantage to me that I have both seen the film and have owned a copy of this album for quite a long time. I would say that the soundtrack to this film is a major contribution to the feel of the film. I want to be careful about spoilers because it's possible that you might want to watch the film. I would say if you think you might want to watch the film, don't listen to the last track on this album until you have done so, because it does potentially tell you somewhat the plot of the film. Anyway, yes, this album, the soundtrack for the film, has a major impact on the feel of the film. It's kind of big and atmospheric and lush and spacey, and it gives it a kind of melancholy fantasy feel to the whole film. And that's how, in fact, the album feels as well. It's mostly instrumental. There is, I think, just the one song at the start. There are a couple of songs where there's tracks where there's spoken word in them. One is Hurricane, and the other is the last track, which I mentioned, which is called Suicide Underground. And so the film has a narration that goes through it, and they've taken snippets from that narration and brought the strangely pitch, shifted it down to give it quite an interesting feel to it, and it runs through this last track, and it does go pretty much through the whole length of the film, very much in condensed format. It's atmospheric, it's musically really nice, I enjoy it. It's a bit odd as an album. Soundtrack albums often are. It's not a bad listen. Generally it's quite backgroundy, except for the tracks that have got words in them, which kind of make it sit weirdly. And also the kind of, normally with an album you'd kind of have maybe more contrast between the tracks, and the ordering of the tracks would be, a particular way to give an arc to the feel of the album. Soundtrack albums often seem to do away with that and just seem to feel a bit random, as if they're randomly sampling from the film. But other than that slight issue, actually I think it's a good album. The music is it's got a definite feel to it, and it's a nice feel. It's a kind of, as I said before, it's a kind of fantasy, kind of almost space rock kind of feel, but in a more modern kind of way. So I quite like it. What do you think? Please talk to me through the comments box. That's it from me for now.
The Lisbon girls were 13, Cecilia, 14, Lux, 15, Bonnie, 16, Mary, and 17, Therese. No one could understand how Mrs. Lisbon and Mr. Lisbon, our math teacher,